Welcome to Spainer and Riggs. First ever episode. I'm Spainer.
I'm Riggs.
We have the pleasure of having Riggs on our show, and he is the all-time greatest coach in Minot State history, all sports.
Not a chance, man. I tell you, we sit here and compete. Spainer is the all-time best. Start from absolute scratch and take that team into an absolute powerhouse and competing and contending for championships. I mean, that's
I can
you,
mic
man.
drop multiple national championships.
But hey, you know what? We're good friends. We got to work in Minot State, and now we're excited to bring all this excitement to you. We got a lot of NFL, pro sports, and a big, heavy high school content. I'm looking forward to getting on the show with you.
So we got the Vikings new coach.
Absolutely. I'm excited. You know, big news here in North Dakota. A lot of Vikings fans and a lot of people that travel to Minnesota, you know, finally found their guy, Kevin McConnell, you know, offensive coordinator for the Rams, former Washington Commanders offensive coordinator. He's kind of in that McVay young gun tree, which is going to be pretty exciting. I think, you know, if you're going to ignite the whole Kirk Cousins thing. But, you know, there's a little skepticism because, you know, with McVay, he is the offensive coordinator, but he's not the play caller. And so that's a huge debate in the NFL. So what's your take on that? Because honestly, I mean, is he overshadowed the fact that, you know, you got Matthew Stafford and McVay calls all the plays, and even Matthew Stafford, you know, probably calls a lot of plays on the line too as well. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll tell you this, you know, it's interesting because I look at Cooper Kupp, and right now he's the class of the NFLs in wide receivers. And then people talk Jamar Chase and whatnot. But Cooper Kupp has the best numbers. He won the receiver triple crown. I believe a lot of that comes from the scheme. You know, and I believe that he has a lot to do with the scheme of the Rams. And, you know, and he's not making the play calls, you know, in the game. But I believe the scheme matters more. And I look at a Vikings team that struggled to play complementary offense and complementary defense, you know, under the Zimmer regime. And, you know, maybe if you get a guy that's got a little bit more scheme, he's not going to make the play calls anyway for Minnesota, hire his own offensive coordinator. I don't know. I think it's a good hire.
Well, it's going to be interesting because, you know, I think, you know, the Vikings' struggles have always been, you know, I feel like their defense has been good enough, but their offense, you know, is kind of, they got so many good weapons, Jefferson and Cook, and, you know, can you make, you know, Kirk Cousins not make big mistakes? You know, like that's the big thing. But my biggest take is I bet you they're betting on culture, you know, and you know I know all about culture and our teams that we've coached in all sports. But I think they're betting on the fact that he's learned enough from McVay to be able to bring that culture of, you know, being energetic, being innovative, you know, those young guns. I mean, it's crazy now how many hires we've seen here in the last 2 years that are innovators, and with LaFleur and in Green Bay, and now McDaniel, well, you know, part of that Shanahan tree. So
it's funny you say that because the Rams were the second least penalized team in the league. And I think that's probably the culture they're looking for, you know, is just being precise, being disciplined. Yep. I think he has a lot to do with that. You know, the play calls, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what, you know, play calls even matter so much anymore. They're reading everything at the line, and there's so many RPOs at the line. You know, I think it's mostly scheme. I think it's a good hire. I think it's an innovative hire. And I think, you know, especially if Aaron Rodgers leaves the division, I mean, I think he's walking into a pretty good situation, you know, to dominate the North.
Well, and that's a whole, you just kind of, you know, peel the onion on this whole deal too, because I mean, there's, you know, as much as they're pretty set with who they think was Kirk Cousins, but, you know, there's could be so much changes going on here with the whole quarterback landscape. And I mean, would there be a deal to move Kirk Cousins and move up or something like that? So I feel like they'll probably ride him out for one more year, because I think it's one more year left on his contract.
And there's no real first round quarterback.
No,
some are going to go, but I don't see a first round quarterback. Pickett from Pitt's not. I'm not seeing him as the top quarterback or anywhere near the class of quarterbacks that have come out the last couple of years.
But now, do you think, other than probably your Cowboys, I think the Vikings are probably one of the most hard luck, bad luck type of scenario teams. I mean, the Vikings are historically good, but not quite good enough, you know, and that it kind of gets you in that level of mediocrity. I mean, you get so close a few times, and then it's just a bad break.
They
or
have
Blair
some
Walsh missed
unbelievably bad breaks. And
it's crazy.
From the original Hail Mary to the Brett Favre interception and the missed field goal with
You got a lot
Atlanta
of
Falcons.
A lot of Vikings fans that have had a lot of heartburn over the last few years, but it's true though. I mean, honestly, I just can't imagine, you know, the heartbreak that they've gone through. And again, would you rather be just awful and then go after draft picks, or a team that's, you know, contending and shows great bright spots? You know, they'll have big wins in the regular season, and then you're optimistic, and then they, you know,
Quick
lay
one
an egg
for
in
you.
the playoffs.
What do the Minnesota Vikings and a stolen car have in common?
What do we got?
No title.
Oh boy, yikes, that's cold. But anyways, you know what? Like I said, Vikings is big popular in this area. You know, what are your thoughts? We want to know. Is Kevin McConnell a great hire for the Minnesota Vikings? Let us know, man.
Tonight, we're going to talk the greatest basketball player of all time. You know, and it really comes down to, you know, Michael and LeBron. We've always heard that. But, you know, when around North Dakota, I hear the name Larry Bird a lot.
Yeah.
So, you know, what are your thoughts? Michael, LeBron, Larry Bird, or is there another in your mind?
You know, I'll be a Michael guy. You know, it's tough because, you know, it's a team sport and everybody just kind of, you know, equates it to championships. That's what everybody says. And, you know, unfortunately with LeBron, he's been to, 10 championships, only won, 4 or whatever, 3, 4. I'm a Michael Jordan guy, and, you know, I remember my cousins were big Bulls fans, especially back in the day. Just the clutch play and the dominance and it's just the way he was able to do it. I mean, there's so many other, I would say this, so basketball's a lot, you know, it's not as cut and dry as I think as other sports, because like you said, there's so many other great players. Like Kobe Bryant was unbelievable, Magic Johnson, you know, you talk about
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah, statistics.
You know, big man, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, you go talk about back in the day, you know, Wilt Chamberlain and some of these guys, and that becomes, but for me, it's Michael Jordan. I feel like his ability to win 3 championships, take a break, come back, win 3 more type thing, just absolutely dominance. And it's pretty crazy. I mean, you think about his story about, you know, how he would get cut from his high school sophomore year or whatever in basketball and those type of things. But I'm a big Michael Jordan fan. I feel like he is the GOAT just based on championships, which is unfortunate because there are a lot of great athletes that don't win championships because they are team sports. But in basketball, I feel like that's probably one of the few pro sports where you get, like, you know what's happened now with the teams.
Number of rings matter in basketball, way more than any other sport. Yep. It's Your funny, thoughts? Though, when we talk about superpowers and bringing all these teams together. But if you go all the way back to the early 80s, the Lakers and Kareem and Worthy and Magic and the Celtics with Bird and McHale and Parrish and Ainge and Dennis Johnson and whatnot. They all had super teams to win long before Michael, Rodman, Kukoc, Pippen, right? Yep. So, you know, I'm not going to get on LeBron for the decision and doing all that. The question really comes down to is era.
Yeah.
Michael played in the most physical era, could get to the rim and take a beating.
Pistons. Who's
but
going to go through there?
LeBron has been to the finals almost every year of his career, and he's done it in the most skilled era.
Yep.
But the least physical.
For sure.
You know, I lean Michael, and I strictly on he had the killer instinct, and more so than anyone else, more than Kareem, more than Magic, more than Bird. You know, I like Michael for killer instinct, and I think if you put him on the court today, he's just got more of a killer instinct than any of these guys. You know, and the funny thing is that Kevin Durant to me is like the most skilled guy in the league, but he just doesn't have the killer instinct of Michael, in my opinion.
Now, do you think the question to you is, do you think longevity could play into this? In other words, you know, LeBron is, you know, manages his minutes and stuff, which minutes weren't really managed back in the day.
And a more physical game.
Absolutely. But if he goes and plays another 4 more years, I mean, he goes into his 40s and then maybe
how's he going to get? He's got to get to some finals though again.
Yeah, I know he does, absolutely. Tough. But that would be the only thing, you know, is if he can come back and if he does win, you know, another, you know, championship or 2 down late and stuff. But I'm actually shocked. I'm surprised he didn't bring in you know, something from Utah either, John Stockton.
Oh, John Stockton.
Man, I mean,
come on, you know,
just a homer from Utah here, just everything.
We
Utah,
know Michael shoved off Byron Russell.
Oh man,
you know that's a clear. It was a clear shove off. Utah wins that championship. But you know, how about savviest though? If you're talking all those guys, Larry Bird has to be the savviest basketball player ever, with Kobe as a really close second.
Absolutely. Well, and man, think about when you talk about those superpower teams, it feels like recently in the last decade or two, it's really been one team. We had Golden State going on their run, and then you had the Lakers, and then you had kind of LeBron with the Heat and stuff. Back in the day, man, you'd have two superpowers, and they would always meet each other. I mean, the Celtics and Lakers. I mean,
Celtics, Lakers, Sixers.
Yeah.
Early '80s.
Yeah.
Celtics, Lakers, Pistons.
Late night.
It's interesting. So we want to hear from you, Michael, LeBron, Larry Bird, North Dakota, or other, I guess, right?
Put other. Yeah.
Who's the GOAT of NBA basketball all time? And next week, we'll hit football. Do we do that offense and defense separate? Do we do it all together? We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
Let us know in the comments on football. How do we want to do that?
Our big star athlete of the week, Chase Burke. I know you've done a lot of research on him. We were glad to get him on an interview. He was excited to have a good chat with him.
Yeah, Chase works hard. I don't know where he finds time as a three-sport athlete to put all the time in the weight room and the agility and the skill, for three sports. But he found a way, dominated Class A in North Dakota, for a lot of years.
Absolutely. Well, come check out our interview right now.
Hey, this is Spanner and Riggs, and we're here with Chase Burke, former Minot High three-sport star. Chase, so we're going to talk a little bit about baseball today, but I wanted to start off with a question for you, and I've always wanted to ask you this question. And, as you know, I'm good friends with your dad and your uncle always sends me videos of you. But I heard a rumor that you start every wrestling match up 1-0. I mean, how do your opponents feel about that?
What do you mean by that?
There's a legend of Chase Burke that he has never been ridden out. No matter what, he stands up in every single match. No one's been able to hold him down. Is that true?
Yeah, usually. Yeah, pretty much every time I've stood up. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I always choose the bottom position.
I did watch your senior year, your state championship match. So that was a good match. So tell us, you just got signed to the Canyon County Spuds. That's in Caldwell, Idaho? Is that right?
Yep, that's right.
And is this going to lead you to maybe a Division I scholarship, or are you thinking more minors? What's your thoughts with this?
Yeah, that's the goal. I mean, we're going to play here at Mesa for 2 years and also play in the summer to get better, play every single day. Just play, have fun, and see what happens. But, yeah, that's the end goal, is to move on to hopefully a D1.
How's the transition to the beautiful weather than the cold white north we get in North Dakota?
Yeah, it's probably perfect weather right now. It's mid 70s, low 70s every day. Playing games right now. We just started. I know we couldn't start in other states, but yeah, it's blessed to be able to start right now, and it's a pretty good opportunity.
Wow, that's awesome. There's also a big story that apparently you hit a inside the park home run and standing up. Any truth to that? And tell us about that.
Yeah, I got some of those this year at Corbett Field. It's like a bigger park, so I hit it to 410 and hit the wall, one bounced it or whatever, and then just kept on running. Just coach sent me, so just used my speed to my advantage, and that's just what I did.
So are you Usain Bolt or rocket ship fast or what?
No, not that fast, but I mean, I'd say I'm average, good speed, but run a 6'4", 60.
So tell the world
60-yard dash for baseball.
Yeah, tell the world what position you play.
I play outfield and catcher.
So how hard are you to steal on?
So far this year, no one stole, but I mean, eventually, I don't know. If I get a good throw, it's usually a good. I don't know. It depends on. You usually work together with the pitcher if they're quick to plate, and then I'm quick there. It usually works out in our favor to get them out.
So talk about how you transitioned to Idaho. How did that all come about? That's exciting. Get back into some big time summer baseball. I know certainly here in Minot, they've been able to add a team, and so it's kind of brought some excitement to the region. But how did it all come about for you in Idaho?
Well, our coach just told us to start looking for some summer teams, and I hit him up and all that, and he responded. He called me. We all talked about my stats and then my tools, how fast I run, all that. And he called a couple of the players on our team to see if I was the right guy, and then he sent me a contract, and I signed to play with him.
Hey, for all those kids out there, talk about being a three-sport athlete, and do you regret being three sports? Would you rather have focused on one and enhanced your level and your performance, or did three sports help prepare you for college and so on? What do you think about that?
Yeah, especially wrestling. It helped with college stuff. It makes you more mentally tough. Wrestling does, and football keeps you in shape, speed, athletics, and then baseball is just what I'm playing now. But definitely would have helped a little bit to just focus on just baseball in that to get the better skill. But to be stronger physically and mentally, the other sports definitely helped a lot. And yeah, definitely more sports, learn how to compete in other ways and always put your most out there. That's kind of what they teach you.
Very refreshing considering that everybody seems to be specializing here, especially at a younger age. So, you know what, you might as well hear from the horse's mouth in terms of what it's like for a big time high school athlete to be able to say that. So hopefully that parents really hear that message and drive that home for sure.
So tell us, you got the athletic family and you got the athletic cousins. And so you've got Macy and Malia. Malia, the state Gatorade Player of the Year. You got Kellen. Is there trash talking in the Burke households?
I mean, not when it comes to like real sports, we don't really trash talk each other, but when me and Kellen play each other in ping pong, we usually end up in a fight, or if we end up competing somehow, it usually ends up in a fight. Our dad has to break it up, but same with Cody too.
So speaking of that,
kind of all compete.
When you and your dad roll on the mat, who wins?
I think I could take him, but usually he has work on the following week coming up, so he doesn't really go too hard. But I think if it came down to a street fight, he'd probably take me pretty easily.
Yeah, he's pretty dirty in that sense, or what?
Probably, yeah. I'd assume so.
Well, hey man,
Good.
thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, we're ready for our high school segment. There's no secret. We're a lot of excitement here in North Dakota. We really want to highlight basketball. High school basketball is exciting. It's kind of trending in that right direction. We're getting kind of into the heart of their region and district play, and now things are starting to emerge. We got Spainer here who's been vocal and being out at a lot of those places, which is awesome as we're seeing on TikTok. But now you got to be able to tell me, you've been seeing some of these games now. I know you've been following a lot more and talking with these athletes. Are you seeing some of these teams emerge? Some teams that are starting to maybe make a run that we're going to see playing in the Dome and in region play and then possible make state runs? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I've been kind of following them all and getting around even east side and west side. When you look at Class A, the East Region Tournament is going to be a dogfight. You got a four-headed monster up top with Fargo Davies, West Fargo Cheyenne, and Grand Forks Red River. Out west it looks kind of like Century's the class of the whole state.
Yep.
They beat Minot on Saturday by 10, and
game.
Minot's number 2 in the west. But that'll be interesting. WDA, it'll probably be Minot versus Century in the final.
Oh boy.
Century looks like the team to beat in the state.
Yep.
So, but they got to play the games.
Absolutely. Now for Class A girls side here, you touched on Century and stuff, but is there really a clear favorite? Is there one that you're really thinking about? Like, what are your thoughts on Class A? Like, who are going to be the two teams you really feel like we're going to be focusing on that either going to be the favorites, and then maybe even do you think there might be an underdog or kind of someone who might come out and make a run? It's one of those things.
I'd like to see the next time Minot play Century. That'll tell us a lot. If Century puts them down by double digits again, I'm taking Century over the field.
Yeah. Oh boy, that's going to be interesting. I mean, that's going to be a big part. What about Class A boys?
Class A boys.
Like, what are your thoughts on that one?
Very similar to Class A girls. You got a four-headed monster in the east, and then you've got Minot in the west. And I do feel like Minot is the team to beat in the state.
Boy, there was a lot of excitement. A couple dunks there the last game. I'll
Yeah,
tell you, my little
yeah.
girl had swimming, and we were able to watch in and peek in, and just huge crowds, I'm just excited to see full houses and that excitement that goes.
Minot's good, and Eric Wentz, super athletic track athlete also, and I think he's like a second cousin of Carson Wentz there.
Okay, yeah.
And he's going to McAllister next year.
boy.
He adds a lot. He's tough. He's kind of like a Scottie Pippen for Minot, kind of filling the gaps guy. It'll be interesting. Well, I'll be out east in Fargo probably next week. Well, I'll give you a heads up on those guys
There we
out
go.
there.
It'll be pretty good. It'll be pretty excited. Now let's switch over to the Class B side. I know here everybody who's locally that's going to follow in, they know that Class B is huge. But anybody that's outside of North Dakota doesn't understand how insanely popular Class B basketball is, both girls and boys. But it's someone from the Great White North to come during spring break and to be able to see the dome and wondering why is there 10,000 people here and it's a Class B tournament. Class B runs the roost when it comes to it. So from the Class B girls side, what are your thoughts? What are you feeling? I mean, we've seen the TikToks. I'm sure they've been following. He saw you with the Four Winds rugby stuff. What are your thoughts on Class B girls? Who are the teams that we got to be focused on?
Well, I'll tell you, it's going to be interesting. And there's 3 undefeated teams right now. You got Kindred, you got Four Winds, and you got Garrison. Garrison's got the toughest road because they've got to knock off Shiloh Christian. They play Thursday night at Shiloh, to decide the region championship, and then obviously they'll go on to the regional tournament again.
Yep.
But Garrison's got the toughest road to get there. Four Winds, super athletic. They press you the whole game.
Yep.
An old Rick Pitino style, right?
Oh boy.
But Kindred's the class. I mean, they pretty much have beaten every opponent by 40 points. And I'll be in Kindred for their region tournament. I'll be there February 17th to take a look at those guys and just to let you know.
And how are you going to be getting to that tournament? You want to fill us in?
Well, we'll be flying on the Dakotan Plains, so that's going to be a fun deal there.
Take a camera with you, take a GoPro with you.
We
You
will.
get all nervous on there, I tell you.
Yeah.
But hey, honestly, it's refreshing to see your Four Winds girls because obviously their boys program has been dominant. I mean, how many times have they made runs and won state championships and been on the TV channel and stuff? So that's absolutely huge for girls. How about on the boys' side? And I mean, let's not kid ourselves. There's so many rivalries on the Class B boys' side. I mean, I know a couple of coaches here from Bishop Ryan and the area and stuff, and it runs the roost. But what are your thoughts on the boys' side?
There's some interesting things on the boys' side. So Ellendale, Four Winds, and Powers Lake are the 3 undefeated teams left in Class B. Four Winds, to me, looks like the team to beat. But obviously, Powers Lake and Ellendale will have something to say. Kindred, 1 loss. And their loss.
Boy, Kindred, I tell you.
Yeah, Kindred's got some basketball going on over there on the east. They're very, very good. So, but right now, from what I can tell, Four Winds is super athletic, like their girls. They'll run you into the ground and they'll light you up.
What are your thoughts on Region 6? I mean, we like to focus a little bit on our area here in Minot, but I mean, kind of Region 6 in the past has always been just an absolute gauntlet to run yourself out. So you have to run through Region 6 to win, and almost sometimes has felt like they've run out of gas or they've been banged up going into the state tournament. But, what are your thoughts? I know you'll probably check out, our Redeemers, Bishop Ryan, this area, Belva.
I've been to a ton of games.
Stuff,
I've been to a ton of games, and I'll tell you, you right now you got rugby at first place.
Yep.
In one district, Bishop Ryan first place in another district. Bishop Ryan, the most consistent team maybe in the region. It's interesting. I watched them just get absolutely throttled by our Redeemers. Zachary Hendrickson just shooting threes in people's face. And then you've got, Velva, and they're super scrappy, and it's interesting. I watched them beat Ryan at Ryan. That was a close game. Velva almost gave it away at the end, but they kind of led from start to finish. You've got 6 teams in there. Our Redeemers, Velva, Rugby, Bishop Ryan. That one's going to be a gauntlet.
It is, and that's kind of probably what brings excitement to it. And I know that's what brings the Class B tournament into especially for it too. So
another region that's absolutely crazy tough is Region 2.
Oh boy!
And Hillsboro's 4th place in Region 2 right now, and they're Kindred's only loss. So you got Thompson, North Border, Grafton, Hillsboro, and Mayport CG.
Yep.
All of them are within one game right now, and fourth place in that group beat Region 1's top team, and Kindred's no joke in Region 1. So Region 2 champion is going to be battle-tested coming to state. Don't bet them out.
So it looks like you're starting to see some pretty good balance when we actually get to the state tournament. You know, there's usually one favorite team that just kind of runs through everybody, and it's like, who's going to stop them? It seems like could be a couple highlighted teams out of these regions, especially out east, that can make a big run for it too as well. Now, talk about, you have done a great job. I'm loving TikToks. You got to be able, I know you fans have been seeing it too as well, the interviews, that great local presence. You've seen some of these athletes. We want to highlight some of those athletes. We want to give them their due. I mean, especially for big games and being able to bring some excitement to their crowds. You got a couple players you want to highlight, a couple kids that you want to see that that have been really good, that on the Class B side that have been awesome to watch, and more importantly, what do you like?
Well, I'll tell you, Four Winds, they have a player named Azura Rainbow.
Okay.
And it's interesting because Four Winds, their boys team will just light you up from downtown. Mm-hmm. The girls pound it low to Azura Rainbow. She's like Moses Malone back in the day. I mean, it's just down Shaq, down low, drawing fouls and one and getting and defensively, she's lights out.
Right on.
But I'll tell you, there's two players at Garrison, and they're going to be a tough out for teams. If they get by Shiloh, that this might be Kindred's toughest competitor. They're very similar to Four Winds. They press the whole game, but they have a player named Caitlin Zook.
Okay.
She reminds me of Gary Payton.
Oh boy.
She is all over the court.
Analogy, wrapping it up together.
Super athletic. And she completely shuts her man down, but she is always diving in and getting steals. When someone else is not paying attention, she's bouncing back, and she moves laterally faster than all the girls I've seen. It's interesting.
Good.
But Sweet Cedar Perkins for Garrison is like Reggie Miller.
Oh boy.
Just absolutely just throws threes up. She hit 3 threes in under a minute tonight at the game I was at.
Jeez, I was like in the garden against the Knicks,
just
man.
boom, 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 right in a row. And they came right off steals because they're pressing. They couldn't, New Salem couldn't get across the midcourt line, and it's boom, 3, boom, 3, boom, 3. And she can shoot off the dribble or off the catch, which is interesting. A lot of kids are better just off the catch. But she can run up to the line, kind of like Reggie Miller. I'm not going to put her in the old Splash Brothers right now, but I will say she was hitting with people in her face, and she's not afraid to shoot. So, and each week I'll highlight a few kids we go out and see, but these are the ones that caught my eye that I'd really like to see kind of playing against each other in the state tournament.
Absolutely.
Garrison Small at the game, the whole town was at the game.
Wow.
So that was interesting. They're
athletic. While, I think since I've heard Garrison even being mentioned in some of this stuff, so it's gonna be great for that town for sure.
Yeah, the Garrison Troopers very good, but Four Winds, and basketball runs deep there, and a very very good team. And I look forward to seeing Kindred, and then we'll just see how it all plays out.
Right on. Well, guess what? You'll see Spainer out hanging out at a lot of these gyms. We want to make sure we get a lot more athletes, an exciting time, and this is it for our high school segment. Okay, you ready? You want to lead or want me to?
I can if you want.
Okay.
So, hey, let's talk a little North Dakota State basketball. Right now, they're third in the Summit League. Got a big game Thursday night, hosting Western Illinois. Saturday, they got Division I newcomer St. Thomas.
Oh, boy.
What are your thoughts here? Can they run down South Dakota State, who's 12-0 in conference?
NDSU, I think of late, has always kind of figured it out. Late in the year, they've been really hot in the Summit League, tournament to get themselves into the dance. I mean, how many times have they been there? 4 or 5 times here, since they made the jump up.
Each time they've gone, the last 2 times they've gotten out of the first round, and they lost to Duke. Kind of got thumped by Duke the last time,
But they put themselves in the right spot. I mean, think about it. I remember the first time with Whiteside and losing to Kansas by 2 points, and I think they had a last chance shot to win that game. And but yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I mean, you think about NDSU. We talked about our big debate with NDSU football and UND hockey. What would it mean if NDSU made a run and got to the Final Four? That would be huge news in this area. I mean, it'd be a lot of bandwagon jumpers for all the people south of the state.
It's interesting, and I don't know, you recruit an NBA guy, you can make a run.
For sure.
And that's one where I still think it's a UND hockey, NDSU football. Even though NDSU football is FCS, it takes 100 guys to play football and 27 guys or whatnot. For hockey and in basketball, 1 or 2 guys can drive you all the way.
For sure.
To the Final Four. Not that that's an easy task. I mean, a lot of the good guys across the country, but NDSU does figure it out late.
They do.
They're not going to run them down in regular season, but they have a chance to win that Summit League tournament.
Reminds me of a lot of Spainers soccer teams, making deep late runs. You got to get hot at the end, right? Win your conference tournament. So it's going to be interesting. Again, I feel like historically they have got hot, late. I mean, you think about South Dakota State's having a great start now, but there's been so much uncertainty, so many games being postponed and canceled because of COVID. And, you talk about momentum, it kind of stops a lot of that stuff in the tracks, or sometimes it could be probably a good thing to get a break if another team's going to have to cancel a weekend and you got some guys that are banged up. So it's going to be exciting, but I would be very interested, again, if they can, they always get caught in that 2-15 matchup. I'd love to see them.
I know they got to get a little higher seed, but, they've clipped Oklahoma a couple years ago. That was crazy. I have a crazy story on that one.
Oh boy!
I was sitting on a plane at Minot Airport to go recruit in Las Vegas.
Okay.
So I got on the plane and I had my iPad, and I was watching the game on my iPad, and they checked us all in, and there was only one flight attendant on the plane, and there were no pilots. And so we were sitting there, and it got longer and longer and longer and longer.
Here in Minot?
It was here in Minot. I'm sitting there, and I'm watching the game, so it didn't feel like that long to me. But we were there for a while, and then someone started chirping, and then it hit me. I go, there's 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in this game. They're probably watching the game.
Oh my God!
And then the NDSU guy hit that 3 to send it to overtime.
Oh geez!
And then when NDSU won it in overtime, no joke, like 2 minutes later, the flight attendants and the pilots all got on the plane, and they had all these big smiles on their face.
That's crazy.
But speaking of late runs, what are we thinking? Bengals, Rams. The Bengals and Rams have both put together some playoff runs here.
Holy cow.
They both have the mojo and whatnot. Stafford he's finally getting there, and then you got Joey Burrow, and so we were texting about it, but I'm gonna let you make the call here.
Okay. All right.
Who do you got? You can go ahead.
This is probably one of the most polarizing Super Bowls in a long time. I mean, a lot of excitement. I mean, geez, you talk about how the paths to get in. You saw the juggernauts and the Aaron Rodgers and Mahomes and Brady's not get in here, and all of a sudden you're seeing Stafford and the Rams doing their big thing. And I was cheering for both these teams. I rode them in quite a few. That's why I was able to get ahead on the picks here a little bit.
1 point.
But you know what? My good buddy Rob Lennox is a big Bengals fan. I'm on the Bengals train. I feel like they're huge underdogs. I feel like the Rams are definitely the favorites. But I just feel like Joey Burrow, this is history for him. And I feel like you talk about all the analytics about Joey Burrow and what he's able to do. They just talk about like complete ice in his veins. Like he's so calm, he's collecting. Like there's just through college and now in the pros, this is his time to shine. And I feel like this is going to be an unbelievable football game that is going to be absolutely spectacular. He's going to get sacked a whole bunch of times, but he's going to find a way to win that game. And I think Jamar Chase is going to have a huge game, and I'm going Bengals.
Well, it's interesting. I'm going Rams, and I'll tell you why. I don't think Joe Burrow's the factor. I think it's Mixon. And, the Rams have struggled if the other team can dictate the flow. But if the Rams dictate the flow, and you got Floyd, and you got Miller, and you got obviously Aaron Donald, the man eater in the middle there. If they're dictating the flow and they're rushing the passer, they're in real trouble. Problem is sometimes for the Rams, the other team can start running the ball. If they've got a double team Donald, that doesn't really give you an advantage.
No,
because he's still eating blocks.
For sure.
You know what I mean? But when a team can let Donald run and they can run away from him and get away, and he's not eating blocks, and they're getting their hat on the linebackers, the Rams have real problems. But I do feel like if it's going to be on Joe Burrow's shoulders, will they be able to pass block for him, A? And then B, will Jamar Chase win the Jalen Ramsey matchup? Because Jalen Ramsey is going to travel in that game.
Yep.
It's going to be Ramsey versus Chase. And, much like Romo said, it's probably going to come down to T. Higgins if the Bengals are going to win. But I don't know. I'm going Rams. I just feel like Cooper Kupp's going to be unstoppable. I think he's going to have a bigger game than Jamar Chase.
Okay.
And I think we're going to be talking about MVP Stafford and that story. I don't know. I mean, you talk about LSU. So 2019 LSU and 2001 Miami Hurricanes with Willis McGahee and all those guys. So I was talking to the great guru of college football and Chad McNally, and really I've never met a guy that knows more about college football than Chad McNally. The guy knows everything there is to know. And he was like going back and forth. I was asking him who the better teams was, and he said that the Tommy Frazier Nebraska team is the best of all time, but that's a home run. He's a Nebraska guy.
Yeah.
But he is right, though, that those Nebraska teams would just beat you up offensively, defensively. But getting to my point, Joe Burrow, he led maybe the greatest football team ever, but definitely the greatest offense in college football history, and now he's with the Bengals with the same moxie. If I'm the Rams, I'm worried. Well, if I'm the Rams, I'm worried because that guy can get hit 55 times and still throw a dagger and end your season.
Absolutely.
So, but I got Rams. You got Bengals. You're up 1.
Yep. This comes down to the wire.
Is this one worth 1.5 or something? What do we do?
I don't know. Sure.
How do you want to do it?
I feel like
we're not gonna have some weird tiebreaker. What are we gonna do?
All these weird
spring training. We gotta go 1.5.
I feel like I'm winning all these other bets, these side bets, especially with Canada beating USA in soccer. I mean, we'll remember that one too as well. But what are your thoughts, people? We want to know who you got. Bengals, Rams. Let us know.
Well, this is the first ever episode of Spainer and Riggs. We would love to hear from you. Where do you want me to go to the next high school game? What's the North Dakota topic? We're going to cover local sports, local college. That's UND, Minot, UMary, Jamestown, Mayville. We'll get them all. We didn't get them all tonight. And professional sports, but we want to hear from you because we're going to cover all the way to national, but it's the North Dakota perspective, and it's all of North Dakota. And let us know. And be sure to follow us on YouTube, SpainerRiggs.com. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. And we'd love to hear from you.